What do I have to do to get a commentary video on a fan-chosen Barbie movie?
Me about 6 months ago.
What happened? What changed in the last 6 months that you
I don't know. Why don't you take a guess?
I don't want to watch Barbie anymore. Like, dang.
Why don't you take a guess?
It's like, hey, 6 months ago, I totally would have watched Barbie at the drop of a hat.
Now?
Here I am now, a different man. Hello and welcome to the Nerdiest podcast, where nerds talk about nerdy things. I'm one of your hosts, Mr. Jackson Glass, and today we're digging deep into our favorite action franchise ever made. We're talking about the breathtaking Keanu Reeves in John Wick 1, 2, 3, and 4 franchise revisit. To talk about
Whoa.
Before
We're only talking about John Wick.
No,
1,
not
2, and
4.
3.
Dang it.
You
1,
said
2,
4.
and 3.
We have not seen John Wick 4.
Yeah, we got early access to John Wick 4, everybody.
Could you imagine?
That'd be so lit. Anyway, so we're talking about John Wick 1, 2, and 3 to get ready for John Wick 4 coming out the Friday after this episode releases. So, whether you've seen it, whether you've seen it or not, whether you've not seen it, or you're going to see it or not, come listen. We're talking about the first 3. It's going to be really good. These are some of my favorite movies ever, actually, and I've been trying to get this episode on the docket for a long time. But before we dig deep into that, I want to say that you should follow us on Instagram at the Nerdiest Podcast to see when new episodes are coming out, see what we're doing. We're doing polls and memes and fun stuff on there. So the Nerdiest Podcast on Instagram or the Nerdiest Podcast on YouTube. Our socials have changed so much this year. It's so hard to remember what to promote.
We went from, like, last year we had, Instagram and TikTok to Instagram and Twitter, and now it's Instagram and YouTube, and those two will probably be pretty solid.
You gotta learn. You gotta get there. You gotta learn. So,
yeah.
Follow us on YouTube and Instagram, The Nerdiest Podcast, where there's original content going on there. But wherever you're listening, also give a 5-star review because it really helps us at the SEO, the search engine optimization, so we can show up and people can listen, and it's going to be great. Before we dive into John Wick, I want to say, Mr. Nick, how is your week?
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Before I dive into my week, though, I am going to say our last plug. Check out the description of the Spotify episode. There'll be a poll.
Amateur
you can tell us what your favorite John Wick movie is by voting in the poll. Now, my week, how's it been? Well, it's been pretty average. It's been a week. Jackson's writing something on his dry erase board.
I forgot to write something on the board. I got to do that.
So, while Jackson draws on his dry erase board, I will talk about my week. Well, and I guess Jackson will probably talk about it a little bit. I went to visit Jackson last week, and we got to film a short film together, so that was pretty cool. It's his short film, so I'll let him talk about it. But while I was there, we did get to watch Your Name and Weathering with You, which I'm always down to watch Weathering with You. That's my second watch through this year. There'll definitely be a third one before the new Makoto Shinkai film comes out in April. And then what else? I watched, and I'm not going to talk too much about it because it's not a family-friendly movie, but I watched 8th Grade, which is directed by Bo Burnham, which is partly why I wanted to watch it, because I loved Inside. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll go watch some of his other stuff. I'm going to be 100% honest. I think Bo Burnham is an underrated creative genius because 8th Grade is probably the most accurate rendition and, like, portrayal of what it is like to be an 8th grader in the current day and age. It's not like, oh, I'm an 8th grader from the 90s. Whoa. It was this was set in 2017. What is it like to be an 8th grader in 2017 with the invention of social media, and how does that change social relationships, and how does that change, like, just growing up as a person, like your self-esteem and your self-worth? And that movie really dug into those things in such an accurate and good way. And there was one scene towards the end, which if you've seen the movie, it's the one in the car, so everyone will know what I'm referring to without me saying it. It made me so uncomfortable in an accurate way. Like, uncomfortable in a, oh, this is exactly how it happens and how it gets started. And it was just such a well done movie, and I really hope Bo Burnham does more stuff like that, because from what I know, 8th Grade kind of went under the radar, and it's like, if you know, you know, but that's just what I've heard. I may be totally wrong, but yeah, very good movie. And the last movie I watched this week, I watched it last night, is Speed Racer from like 2008, and I think that might be the best live action anime movie we've ever gotten. And that might be like a hot take, but it just nailed everything that anime is and then moved it to live action. It has the very vibrant colors and all of the action and all of the character that you would expect from an anime, but in live action. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that CGI aged well, because there are definitely scenes where you can tell that was shot on a green screen, or there's certain scenes where you can tell it was not like CGI'd together well in post-production, but all of the racing scenes looked phenomenal still, which, in all honesty, is really the only part of the movie that matters if it looks good, because that's what you're selling the movie is on the racing.
It's cargo fast. Ka-chow.
Yeah, it's cargo vroom vroom, smash into other cars, jump over, do like real life Mario Kart essentially.
Yeah. I'm 12 and this is awesome. Like,
yeah, dude, that used to be my movie. I used to love that movie as a kid. Because it was just cargo fast, cargo vroom, and that was it. And I think we need more movies like that aren't so caught up in, ooh, what deep, philosophical message about life, or, intersocial relationships can we tell, which is funny coming off of 8th Grade. But it's just cargo fast, cargo vroom. They smash into each other sometimes. They jump over. They do cool driving tricks. You hear the car go vroom.
And you're like, yeah.
You're like, let's go.
Would you argue is that what Fast and Furious is, or is
I was
Fast
gonna
and
say
Furious
maybe I need to go watch Fast and the Furious now,
because those are good movies.
That's what I've heard. So maybe the franchise revisit Fast and the Furious.
This is something.
10 movies.
This is something that's franchise revisit for Fast and the Furious. 10 movies.
Episode 100, franchise revisit Fast and the Furious. 10 movies, one for each set of 10.
4-hour episode. Let's go. I want to say this will actually tie back later in the episode if we follow our notes. But I think there is some movies right now that are coming out that are mindless and dumb and just funny. And so...
Cocaine Bear. What?
What? Who said that? We don't talk about that on our family-friendly show. But there are some very, like, cargo vroom.
What?
Or, people go, people fight. People should go pew-pew. Like, that's all we want. That's all we want. So...
yeah, it's mindless entertainment in a good way.
Yeah.
Not like mindless, oh, it's bad for you and just like bad in general. It's mindless in the sense that you don't have to say, okay, what social controversy is going to be in this movie? What political message is going to be in this movie? It's just, wow, look at that. The car goes fast and they race each other. That's crazy.
Have you ever seen the movie Turbo?
Yeah, I have.
The snail.
With the snail
is fast. That is such a good movie.
It's Cars, but with a snail.
That's such a good movie. So, yeah. My week has been okay. After spring break, life just got insanely busy, and so school's crazy. Like, life is just kind of crazy. Lots going on, but we had a great spring break week. Got to just chill for a little bit. I went out with friends. We went coffee shop hopping, so that was really fun. And then, like I said, Nick came down to my house for 2 days, and we had a great time. We shot a short film. I'm really happy with the way it's going. Hopefully there will be a way for you to see it. I don't really know what that's going to look like yet. Because I don't know if I want it to just go right to YouTube, because it's a more professional looking project that doesn't really fit with my YouTube content. So I don't know. We'll see. If anyone has any advice or experience in short film distribution, send me a DM, because I need the help and I would gladly listen to anyone. But yeah, we had a great time shooting short films. We went on some adventures. We, got on a roof or two. But what? Who said that? What? Who said that? Anyway, do you wanna look at our movies?
I will say, while I was there, I got to verify that your girlfriend is real and not like a paid actor. You got to stage and be like, "Hey guys, look, I have a girlfriend." No, she's real.
No, she's real.
Very nice.
Thank you.
She also likes Weathering with You, which is like Jackson. That's a keeper right there.
Yeah. No, we watched Weathering with You and Your Name. Both Makoto Shinkai films. Weathering with You is better, but I expected that.
No, that's so true.
But
it's
also,
so true.
I need to watch Your Name again because it's a confusing film. I also, halfway through, just kind of accepted that we were watching this movie for social reasons, and I wasn't going to catch every little bit of dialogue because we were just hanging out and talking.
Right.
So I need to watch it again and be a little more intentional with it. But both great movies. So speaking of movies, if you've been keeping up, we currently have a little competition going on where we see who can watch 100 movies first. So we are only updating each other on how many movies we're watching on the podcast. So I don't remember how many I had last week.
Except for me, who accidentally said the number before we started recording because I forgot.
Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see. So how many movies are you at currently on March 18th, 2023?
Including my duplicate watches, which Weathering with You was a duplicate watch because I've already seen it once this year. I am at 32.
Okay.
Do you have me beat?
So
did you pull ahead? Because I know we were like one apart.
We were like really close.
Last episode.
Including my rewatches, because I saw Puss in Boots twice, and I saw Weathering with You again this year, because we watched it together twice this year.
It's true. When we watch movies together, they cancel each other out.
Including John Wick, all the John Wick movies. I watched Madagascar this week. I'm currently at 31 movies, so you still have me beat by one.
Still ahead by one.
But man, it's anyone's game still.
Here's what
also,
I want to ask.
Hold on,
because I was thinking about this week.
Yeah, you first.
Do stand-up specials count? Like stand-ups count. Like if I wanted to watch the new Chris Rock, because it's on Letterboxd, and I've counted them as movies the last 2 years. Because
stand-up
they're
specials
over
count.
an hour.
Stand-up specials count.
So
because they're on Letterboxd and are over an hour. Now, you'd also say I would say that short films don't count. Like I could watch the All Too Well 10-minute version short film, and that's on Letterboxd, but it's 10 minutes long, so I'm not going to log that. Stand-up specials do count. I do want to watch the new Chris Rock special. Can we also talk about when you were here, we were talking about how many movies, how we were trying to watch a ton of movies, and Amy was like, "Oh yeah, let's just see how many I've watched." She's seen 45.
Yeah, you're slacking, brother.
How? Where is she watching all these movies without me? I don't understand. I don't understand how she just blazed past us, and she's not even playing.
Women be watching movies,
she's not
I guess.
Even be playing. True though. The girlies just be watching movies together.
She rewatched actually every single Barbie movie ever in
Honestly,
preparation for Barbie with Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling coming out in June of 2023.
Please
That's the real franchise revisit.
What do I have to do to get a commentary video on a fan-chosen Barbie movie?
Me about 6 months ago.
What happened? What changed in the last 6 months that you
I don't know. Why don't you take a
watch,
guess?
I don't want to watch Barbie anymore. Dang.
Why don't you take a guess?
It's hey, 6 months ago, I totally would have watched Barbie at the drop of a hat.
Now?
Here I am now, a different
happening.
man. All right. So this week, we watched John Wick, all 3 of them. The 4th one comes out very soon. We might, depending on how we feel, we might do a review of the 4th one. If not, we'll just do an Instagram post about it. Because the 4th one
I might do a movie review. We could always do a movie review for
review
YouTube.
on YouTube. But I mean, it's getting amazing reviews. The fourth one they're saying it's like 10 out of 10.
Wow.
So I want to start with what's the history of John Wick with you, because I've seen these movies before. And if I'm understanding correctly, this was your first time watching it, was it not?
Yes, I've heard of John Wick before, but I'd never seen any of the movies. So, and I'd wanted to watch them because I'd heard like, oh, haha, somebody killed Keanu Reeves' dog, and then he goes on a rampage, and it's like kind of a meme. Mm-hmm. But then I watched it, and I didn't realize that is actually the plot. Like, I thought people were joking. No, that's actually the plot.
No, it's for real.
Of John Wick is somebody steals his car and kills his dog. And that is a domino effect of just where we're at by the end of John Wick 3. So I'll say they were good movies. I enjoyed them. And for reasons I'll explain, because I assume we're going to kind of go like movie by movie. I think John Wick 3 is probably my favorite out of the three. They're all good, but John Wick 3 is definitely my favorite.
Right. Yeah. I think, I'm trying to remember the first time I watched it. These are movies I always watched with my dad. And so since he really likes them, we've watched them together. And we just had it on Blu-ray. So we've kind of watched them before. I watched the first one, and I think that was maybe the second R-rated movie I ever saw. The first one I saw was The Matrix, which is ironically enough a different Keanu Reeves movie. But there was a point when I turned like 16, 17 that I just kind of realized I was old enough to watch those things. And so it was like it opened a new door for movies for me. And so, because I wasn't like, it's not like my parents were like, heck no, you can't watch that. It was just like when I was 13, I wanted to watch it and they're like, you're a little young. Which is so valid because I was way too young. So
yeah, no, there's definitely some stuff like violence-wise in here that as a 20-year-old I had to look away because it was bad.
Yeah. So that's kind of my history. Is like I just kind of watched them with my dad. They're really good. I'm gonna try to see the fourth one with him too. So that's about it. I've seen the first one. I think this is the third time I've seen it. These are probably my favorite action movies that exist because, well, general thoughts on John Wick. We'll move to that on first movie. What are your general thoughts as like a 20 years old watching it for the first time? What do you feel?
Well, they start off with his dead wife, so that was kind of cool. I don't know. I feel like it would have been a little better if we saw a little bit more of his wife and she wasn't just kind of like, oh, she's dead. Like, we don't even get like a flashback, really. It's just, oh, his wife died. You're supposed to care. But I'm like, well, I mean, yeah, I can empathize with him that his wife died. But also, like, I don't know.
But you also get the videos of her that he watches.
That's true.
That's about it. But I also really hate that trope of like the dead wife videos.
Yeah.
Like Community makes fun of that too, where they're just like, what are you doing? Stop filming me. And he's just like watching it alone on the edge of his bed, like crying. And I'm like, who takes videos like that? That's really weird.
I should do that. Actually, wait. No, I don't need to do that. That's what the podcast is for.
No, exactly.
So in the future, when I eventually die, my wife and kids can go back and listen to the eventual 2,000 episodes of the Nerdiest podcast.
Of course.
They can watch me go from senior year of high school to my deathbed.
Let's go.
You got a really wide range of episodes there.
TBH, yeah, let's shoot dead wife videos of ourselves so that people can watch them and it's just us like, what are you doing? Stop. It's like, oh, like such.
Or it's like you get really serious and you're like, well, if you're watching this, I'm dead.
I'm probably dead.
And then that's it. That's the whole video.
That's the whole thing.
There's no meaningful speech, no content after that. It's just,
that's it. Respect.
I'm dead.
Yeah. No, I agree. We could have seen a little more of the life.
We also didn't get to see him, which I don't know. I kind of liked this, but at the same time I didn't, is we didn't get to see him before coming out of retirement. We see what he can do after, obviously, because that's the whole premise and like how skilled he is as a, what is he, an assassin, a hitman?
Yeah, he's an assassin.
We can see that after, but we don't get to see the before, which I guess, I mean, it doesn't really matter. And it is kind of haunting to see all of these people. Like, there's literally a line, I wrote it down, that made me audibly start laughing, where the guy walks up to the guy who stole John Wick's car's dad and is like, he stole John Wick's car. And he just goes, oh. Like, he knows exactly what's about to happen just based off, he stole John Wick's car and killed his dog.
Oh.
And the guy was like, well, son, you're on your own. Sorry.
Yeah.
Pushes him out the door. Nope. Not today. So I think having that, like, and they call him the Baba Yaga, which is Russian for, you know, the boogeyman. So that was a really cool, like, it was almost like a word of mouth reputation. And everybody knows John Wick, but also that trope did kind of get old of like, everybody knows John Wick. Wherever he goes, somebody knows John Wick. And I'm like, okay, I mean,
I think that they could have showed a little bit before, but I also would argue that I think the mystery almost makes him cooler or almost a little scarier. Like you said, like everyone in the story knows who John Wick is. He's Baba Yaga. And so as an audience, since I'm not in, I'm like, what are they like, what's going on? Why are they so scared? Like, oh, I got to know. And I think that adds to the story, is him being like a mysterious, almost like a folktale of like, oh, John Wick, oh my gosh. So I think it works. He proves the folktales right when he goes and wipes out like an entire crew of 20 people by himself. So the ends end up justifying the means of how they did that. I just think it could have been handled a little bit differently and a little bit better. But that's just me. Yeah. So the first one, generally speaking, I'll go ahead and say I think the first one is my favorite.
Really?
Just because I think when you have a movie that is, how do I say this? It's not the gimmick, but the point of John Wick is violence. Yeah. When you make a movie where the point is violence and you make 4 of them, it has to escalate. And it has to get more and more violent. Yeah. So the first one to me is almost like a piece of art in the sense of like, it was before it escalated. To the point where, like, yeah, in the third one, he's, like, murking people with books. And, like, the second one, he uses a friggin' pencil. And that's terrifying. But I really like the simplicity of, like, no, he's just incredibly good with his hands or with a gun. Or, like, I think that simplicity, like, makes me appreciate mainly Keanu Reeves because he does it all. He's amazing. And so I think the first movie is my favorite just because of the simplicity of, oh, yeah, they killed his dog and they took his car. Like, now he's going to go destroy them.
You picked the wrong person to kill his dog and to steal his car.
Yeah. So also as a dog person, I'm like, yeah. And it's like, what else could they have done that would have made me root for this guy that's just plowing down groups of people?
They were so needlessly violent against that dog, by the way.
Oh, like, they absolutely were.
You did not have to go that far.
No, I felt no empathy for any of the Russian dudes that just got destroyed in this first movie. That's kind of what I thought. I think that they're all really good, but the first one is my favorite because it's almost essentially like, kind of like how the first Hunger Games is really good because you get to explore it before it gets too complicated, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
So that's how I feel about the first one.
No, I totally see that because now, and to your point about escalating, is the first one was very like, it could have been a one and done movie. Mm-hmm. And it would have been a great one and done movie. But where I think, and this is kind of like, not hesitation, but my interest going into John Wick 4 is how do they cap this off eventually?
Yeah.
Like, because they even, like, the director or someone who worked on the movie said, if John Wick 4 does well and they want us to make another one, we'll take a little break and then do another one.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so that means either the story doesn't conclude or it concludes enough that we could stop there and call it a day. And I'm like, okay, with how we've escalated and built up the world with this whole, like, high table organization and they've got people everywhere, and now it seems like John Wick and Lawrence Fishburne are teaming up. It's also not the first time John Wick has paired up with an iconic black guy. That's pretty poggers.
I mean,
so, you know, different generation, different movie. It all works out.
I'm just saying, John Wick is the modern Matrix because
True.
the modern Matrix was awful.
That's facts.
Anyway.
But yeah, I'm interested to see how they do that, because how do you fight back against an organization that literally has eyes everywhere across the world? It'd be one thing if it was like, we're the New York Mafia and we control the entirety of New York. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, well, that's cool. We can take down all of New York. How do you fight the world?
Yeah.
Like, I'm interested to see how that has escalated, because it's really John Wick and Lawrence Fishburne and whoever he's got at his disposal.
And maybe Winston. I'm curious to see how that goes.
Yeah, because he shot him off the roof. And I don't know if that was, like, intentional.
I think he's still on John's side.
No, I agree. That's how it played off.
Yeah.
Because it was like, oh, John Wick's got to die. Bam, 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 bam. And then he falls off the roof.
Yeah.
And it was almost more of a... Because then when the adjudicator, which I hated her, by the way.
I wanted to bring that up about how horrible she is, which I guess is good writing because she's supposed to be horrible. But she's horrible.
But I want to just punch her in the face.
Yeah, no, it's bad.
But when she comes up and is like, John Wick is gone. And he's like, oh, well, that's unfortunate. You know, that's what happens when you fall off the roof. And she's like, no, his body is gone. And he's like, I don't know what to tell you.
Like, what do you want from me?
The rats ate it, I guess. Moving on.
Anyway. Yeah. I think the only movie franchise I can compare John Wick to, and hear me, might have to hear me out on this, is The Hunger Games. Because you think about, okay, you do the first movie that builds a world, and it sets it up, and you meet characters, and it's like, cool. And then you go to the second one, and you say, okay, it's the first one, but Annie is upped. Like, okay, cool. You get to the third one. Okay, let's take down the government. So, potentially, we could...
that was the plot of the third Hunger Games.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So,
governmental overthrow.
We could get 4 and 5 from the John Wick franchise, and it could just be like taking down the high table.
Right.
I think that has mad potential, and just kind of be like, because I don't know, I don't want it to end where they're like, oh, like, let's just kill the organization, no more assassins, we don't need to do this anymore, because that's dumb. We don't need to do that, because there's always going to be crime, there's always going to be, they're like, oh, we're going to go, they still need to exist.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you end, that's like, I don't want it to be like the final shot is John Wick kicking his feet up on the desk where he's the head of the high table now, and it zooms out in his big New York office and like happily ever after. I don't want that either. So I really don't know how this is going to end, but I kind of trust them, because I feel like there isn't a movie in this trilogy that has missed. Like,
yeah, they're 3 for 3.
I think the second one is probably my least favorite for some reasons I can talk about if you'd like. But it's not a bad movie. They're 3 for 3.
Do tell, because I think it's my least favorite too.
Okay.
And we might have the same reasons.
What are your reasons? Let me hear that first.
My reasons, it felt really not disconnected, but like forced, air quote, forced, because John Wick goes back to his house and like everything's fine and dandy. And I was kind of confused because I hadn't seen any trailers or read any descriptions or anything. And like he goes back. Oh, whew. I did not get enough sleep last night. Anyway, he goes back and then this guy shows up and is like, I heard you're out of retirement. Here's this marker thing that has not been pre-established, by the way. And I'm not saying the first movie can pre-establish everything, but it does feel weird when there's stuff like that is now a really big part of the world was not even mentioned. And maybe it was mentioned in the first one and I missed it. But when stuff like that isn't mentioned ahead of time, it feels weird. But he comes back and John Wick's like, no, I'm good. And then this guy burns his house down.
And for why? Just just 'cause?
For real?
Yeah.
You burn his house down and you think he's going to come help you? Which is what happened. But I also feel like after John Wick kills the guy's sister, which, by the way, he did not do.
No, he didn't. She did that.
I feel like there was a real lack of communication in that movie.
Yeah.
Because she killed herself.
Yeah.
Because she even said, she was like, if I'm going to die, I'm going to do it my way. And then she cuts her arms open,
and it's
which
so
I had to look
gross.
away from.
It's so
I couldn't
gross.
do it.
Okay,
there was
that's
a lot of stuff.
It's gross.
In these movies, I had to look away from. I couldn't.
No.
I can't do it.
The second one, I think, is the one that I had to look away from the most. That was the grossest scene of all of these movies, and I don't think it needed to be that gross, but that's just me.
Okay, I can handle this stuff where he's blowing people's heads out and you see the blood splatter. I can handle that. I'm fine with gunshots or sword stabs and stuff. But when you get into I'm gonna slice my wrists, I'm like, oh no. That's makes me uncomfortable.
It's a little too real.
Or when I think it was later in John Wick 2 when he kills the two guys with the pencil, I had to look away.
Yeah.
Especially when he got right in that dude's eye. I was like, nope, not today.
No. If you haven't noticed, this episode is a little more mature, so warning on that.
I mean, I feel like
these are R-rated
John
movies.
Wick in and of itself is you should know.
I think so. What's interesting is I can relate to gunshot, that kind of stuff doesn't bother me. It's swords that get me. If someone is cut or stabbed, I feel it. I'm like, oh, especially when it's a super close up, like stuff with eyes. I'm out instantly. I'm out. I can't do stuff with eyes. It's gross.
Oh, you know what I couldn't do? I couldn't do when he cut his finger off.
Oh no.
When that was, I think was that in 3?
That's in the third one when he cuts his finger off.
I was like,
It also when he uses his key and they essentially brand him in the back, that hurt. I could feel
that was
one.
fine.
Also, what the heck? This is so gross, and we're gonna move on in a second. The ballerina just ripping her toenail off. Did you catch that?
I might have missed it.
It's so unnecessarily just nasty.
I might have missed that one.
It's kind of subtle, but
I'm glad I did.
It caught me off guard, and I just went, ugh. So
it gives me this that kind of stuff gives me the same vibes as when you're watching a video. The most infamous one is a Vine where this guy's trying to jump over this giant Jenga tower, but he lands and the tower goes right in between his legs.
Oh,
and you're
yeah.
Oh, I can feel that.
Uh-huh.
When it's like that, I have to look away. I'm like, nope, I can feel that.
The empathy is too much. So
yeah, it hurts.
I think John Wick 2, it's not bad, but it's the weakest of the 3 in my opinion.
Yeah.
But also
mainly because it serves as a bridge between 1 and 3.
It does. It's necessary as the bridge, but that's pretty much all it is.
Yeah.
I do think a couple things that I really liked about John Wick 2, and I wrote this in my notes, is Lawrence Fishburne steals the movie.
True.
He is iconic. Now, it's not entirely true because Keanu Reeves is still Keanu Reeves, but any scene Lawrence Fishburne is in, I was filled with joy. He fills the room. It's so great. Also, the end in the mirror shots were so incredible in the second one. I was wildly impressed by that. Just especially as a film guy. I'm like, literally how? How did you do that?
I'm going to be honest. I was a little, and this is totally not off topic, but I was honestly, it caught me really off guard when they were in the Continental and the guy's sitting there like, yeah, John, maybe you should chill out. And then he just blows his head off.
Uh-huh.
Like he just pulls it up, bam,
Yep.
and walks out. And Winston's like,
did you just conduct business on the Continental grounds?
John,
That's
I have no choice but to excommunicate you.
I will say the end of John Wick 2 is really sick. The way that it's like he has 1 hour before he's like essentially fair game.
Yeah.
And not only fair game, but worth like $15 million.
It's a
like,
lot of money.
He's on the run.
Not if you're not going to be alive to spend it.
No, yeah. It was kind of sick, actually. The end, and I really like his dog in the second and third one. So, that's good. Yeah, the third one is really good, too. I think it's the highest quality movie.
I would agree.
But like I wrote this down too, is there are some shots in the rain in that movie that are just absolutely gorgeous. I loved how this movie looks. Also, this is more of a blanket statement about all of them. These movies use text very creatively. Like,
oh my gosh, I was going to talk about the subtitles and how I love how stylized the subtitles are, and they're not like just the generic white text at the bottom of the screen. They're very integrated with the movie, and it's a part of the story as opposed to just, we're going to translate it for you because you don't speak Russian or whatever language they're speaking. And like certain words are colored to add emphasis. Oh,
I thought that was
so
an
good.
incredible creative decision. Also, that doctor at the beginning of the third movie, absolutely, like, can we just talk about the impact he had on this story? He freaking saved John Wick's life when he had 30 seconds before he was excommunicated. Okay? This man is a hero.
I like how John didn't hesitate to shoot him either. He's like pulling up his shirt. He's like, just go right.
He's like,
and then he's like, all right, right here in my neck. Bam.
Try not to hit my collar. Yeah.
Didn't even hesitate. He's like, okay.
Well, brother had
Kabam.
to go. Brother had to get out of there.
He's like, I gotta go.
Yeah, I think I also really like John in the third one because I think, and I don't know if this is the right word for this, but the power scaling is really good because John Wick is just known. He's the best. So, since he's the best, when he's really scared, you know it's dire. So, I think they do a good job of making sure he's not invincible. Like, he gets beat up pretty bad.
Yeah, like, he can win every fight, but that doesn't mean he will.
Yeah.
Especially when he's got multiple people teaming up on him. That's very... It makes it a lot more realistic. Like, oh, yes, you are very skilled, but also, you could die at any moment.
Yeah. It's like, he is very skilled and he's the best, but even when you're the best, when you're against 4 people, it's going to be a tough fight.
Right.
So I thought that was really good. Also, I'm just looking at my notes at this point. I thought that when they're in the Continental in the third movie and they just pull out the shotguns, I was 10 years old again, giggling like an idiot. Like,
okay,
that was awesome.
I'm going to say this, and we might have, if we watch the retention graph, there might be a significant drop as soon as I finish the sentence.
I might know what you're about to say.
John Wick is my expectation when playing Fortnite. That's how I feel. Walking around, bam, 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 and you got all the different ammo, pulling out the pistol, Loki, and like especially in John Wick 3 when they're like riding on the motorcycles and stuff because they just added like more futuristic motorcycles to Fortnite. That's how it feels. Is like you're riding around, you're trying to shoot people next to you on the motorcycle. It's like the expectation versus reality. Playing the game is reality. Expectation is John Wick, and that's what it feels like. Because there were so many times where I'm like, okay, pistols can't have more than 15. Can't have more than 15 rounds. So at some point, and I don't know if it's because I was bored, but I started counting shots, and I was like, okay, so minimum is 7, maximum is like 15. You're at 22. Oh nope, now you're at 30. And I got really lost. I was like, do they have infinite ammo in these movies? And then I realized it was the fight in Casablanca with him and the girl. And I realized that they were picking up the guns from the people who had died. Yeah. And that's why they had infinite ammo, because they just kept picking up and dropping. And I was like, oh.
That's another thing to kind of appreciate about the John Wick movies is the combat is very realistic. There's some very in there. You should look up the videos of him doing it. It's absolutely incredible. He goes through this incredible like military training of like he does it. It's real. It's very realistic. He like his gun safety, I guess, precautions are like what you actually should do. And the one that I've noticed the most is in a lot of action movies, they'll hold their gun out like that.
Right.
Where in reality, like if you were in a gunfight, it has to be close to you, because if you hold it out, your arm is weak. People can just smack it out of your hand. Like that's not good practice. So hold it close, and he does that, and it's amazing because
if you look, that's how I was taught to use a pistol. Was like you keep it close and you kind of hold it with both hands instead of just like the super arrogant. Oh, I got you now! Ha bam, 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 bam.
Yeah. So it's just interesting because I don't know of another action movie that does that.
Yeah.
So
because most action movies are very unrealistic, and they do that because they're like, oh, guns look cool.
Yeah. But I almost appreciate John Wick more because they managed to make it kind of fun while being realistic, and I just like that they took that care. So that's the question is John Wick, the 3 movies we've seen, are they too violent? How do you feel?
I feel like John Wick is violent enough for the type of movie that it is. It's obviously an R-rated movie, which is interesting. It's rated R for violence, not for any like sexual content, or I mean obviously there's some language, but not as much as you'd think. And it's really just for violence. So I don't think these movies would work if you cut out the violence to get it down to like a PG-13. Because then it's just kind of like it takes away what the movie is. Like as much as I had to look away for some of it, like seeing him shoot somebody in the head and then blood splatters in the corner of the frame like it's on the camera. Something about that feels very natural because they are assassins, and we shouldn't water that down. We shouldn't water down. They're assassins. They're meant to kill people, and they will do it in any way possible. It doesn't matter if they have to like put their body weight to get the knife all the way into your chest, or they got to blow your brains out, like, or they got to break both legs and then, you know, choke you out with a book. Like, that's what assassins do. They kill people. So, and I think something this movie doesn't do, and maybe you can prove me wrong, is it doesn't glorify killing people. Because
no, I don't think
John
it does.
is very, not remorseful, but like he is somewhat remorseful when he does have to kill people. Because it's obviously not the life he wants for himself anymore. Because, you know, he had his wife and now he's got his dog, and like he's kind of just done and over that. And it's not, it would have been so easy for this movie to fall into the trap of let's glorify killing people, which is the wrong message to put across. So I don't think it's too violent. I think there's some stuff that like bothers me personally, but that's just me. But no, I think the violence works for the type of movies that these are.
Yeah, I can completely agree with that. I think That's not something I considered, is how do the characters feel about what they are doing? Because this could have very easily turned into a Joker movie where John is like, haha, this is so great. But no,
Right.
he is very remorseful, more of like, I don't like that this is the life that I have, and that's why I'm going to fight to get out of it. That's the whole point. That's why you root for him. You root for him because he doesn't want to do that. He's just really good at it.
Right.
So, like, that's where the fun comes in. It's like you feel kind of weird for saying it's fun, but it's like cheering on your favorite team. Like, go John, get out of there. Like,
Yeah.
get the bad
Get out of this
guys.
toxic relationship.
Yeah,
John.
for real. I'm in a toxic relationship with the high table. And
But then there's also that scene in John Wick 3 where he's fighting the Asian guy in the train station, and like they're gonna stab each other, and then these kids walk across in between them.
yeah.
And the Asian guy is like, "See,
What's
that's
his
the
name?
difference between you and I. I wouldn't have stopped. Like I would have kept going, but you stopped. That's what makes you special."
Yeah.
And I think that's another great way to showcase that John doesn't kill unnecessarily.
Yeah.
He only kills the people he has to keep himself alive. It's not like I'm going to run around like, oh, that kid's in my way, bam. Or that teacher's in my way, bam. Like, he just goes around them because they
Yeah.
don't need to die.
Yeah. His name is Zero. I forgot his name, too.
Zero? Did
Zero.
I mean, I'm sure they said his name somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure it's
Oh,
somewhere.
that's something I want to mention. While we're talking about Zero and his ninja guys, I love how they pulled that off in the frame because you literally could not see the ninjas in the frame.
Mm-mm.
Like, they just appeared. Like, they were added in post.
Mhm.
And I'm like, that's so cool.
No, they did a good job
because
there.
it feels so realistic.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like,
again,
where did they come
that's
from?
how assassins work, which is
Yeah.
what we talked about, like, with Pirates of the Caribbean, is it's a very accurate rendition of pirates. This is a very accurate rendition of assassins, is
Yeah.
they will do whatever it takes to kill you, and if that means blending in with their surroundings so they can jump out and kill you, that's what they're gonna do.
it. Yeah. Yeah. I think this would not work as PG-13. Just because the point is that it's a realistic movie about assassins. And you cannot portray that without blood and just
Right.
the brutality that they show wouldn't translate well if you took it out. It would just be like, this is lame. I don't care.
Yeah.
So, talking about Zero and his ninja guys, did you feel like, this is very specific, in the end of 3, there's a scene where his ninja guys are like fighting John, and they're like throwing him into these glass cases that keep shattering. That scene made me so mad, because I was like, he's just standing there and letting them like kick him into these glass boxes. Like, it's almost like he would get up and set them up to let them throw him into a different box. And I
didn't have that issue.
Did you not?
I didn't see anything. I mean, I saw it, but I didn't like. I didn't think that. I was like,
Okay.
It's whatever.
Yeah. How do you feel about the other characters in this movie? Like, outside of John, because this is a world. There's more than John Wick. How do you feel about other people in this movie?
Sorry, I'm making that face because I'm listening to the Doki Doki Literature Club soundtrack on Spotify, and the super depressing song just came on, and I'm like,
Oh gosh.
okay.
Wait.
Anyway. How do I feel about other characters? Some of them are interesting and some of them are not.
Yeah.
Like, is it Sophia? Is that her name? The one who has the dogs who like viciously attack people.
Mhm.
I think that's her name. Which, by the way, moral of the story in John Wick: just don't kill dogs.
What up with the
It
people killing-
never ends well for people.
For real.
Just don't do it. But like her character, I didn't really care about her because I didn't feel like I had a reason to care about her. But then when you get to Winston, and what's the concierge's name?
I
I don't know his name.
have it.
Sharon.
Sorry if I missed.
I liked him and Winston.
Mm-hmm.
I was very invested in them, which this was very poorly timed because I literally wrote in my notes. I watched John Wick 3 Thursday night, and when he was getting all geared up to go out and fight in the Continental, I was like, if the concierge dies, I'm going to riot. And then I get up Friday, and I found out his actor passed away, which is so unfortunate.
Lance
and I'm
Reddick died at 60
that's
this
so
week.
sad.
He is in John Wick 4. I know he has other shows that he was in, so that won't be his last role.
It'll be his last John Wick movie.
But
though.
it will be his last John Wick movie. That's
which is so
incredibly
unfortunate because he was like one of my favorite non-John Wick characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Apparently he was very big into voice acting, which I didn't know. I've only seen him in John Wick.
Yeah. I've seen some other animated stuff he's been in, but I didn't know it was him until I went through the IMDb. Yeah. So
that was incredibly sad.
Him and Winston, I care about them. What is Lawrence Fishburne's character name? I need to stop calling him Lawrence Fishburne.
The Bowery King.
The Bowery King?
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep calling him Lawrence Fishburne. He's really good. I like him. I like his character and how the High Table is like, all right, well, you're done. And he's like, you think I'm done? I am the Bowery. You'll never know. So I liked him. I like the weird like ballerina lady leader. Really the extra characters that were introduced in John Wick 3 are the ones I didn't necessarily like because I didn't have a reason to like them.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's I think Sophia is Halle Berry's character, which she does a good job. But also when you're literally in scenes cut in between you and Keanu Reeves, it's really hard to hold your own because this is the third movie he's done this for. He's just amazing at it, incredibly talented actor. And then, there's also Halle Berry, and she's great. But when you cut in between her and Keanu Reeves, it makes her not so great. So, and her character, I don't really know what they were trying to do with her. I don't know if they were hoping to get a spin-off out of her or were there's not enough dogs. I don't know. I thought that was a weaker scene in the third movie was all the stuff with them together, which, you know, actors did good. I liked the dogs in it just because I like dogs, but like you said, I wasn't given a lot of reason to care about her. So.
Yeah. And I think now that we're going into John Wick 4, I think there'll be a lot of other characters who are consistent.
Yes,
and I agree. I don't think we'll be introducing as many new characters now. Yeah. And we'll just be continuing to grow with the ones that we already know.
We have enough people to do a full story. So let's just expand them. Let's get them there.
Exactly.
So what are you hoping to get out of John Wick 4? Because I don't really know what to expect.
I don't either. I don't know if this is going to be the type of thing where it's going to wrap up or if it's going to be ready to keep going. I'm kind of not on the fence, but I don't know. I just am interested to see where it goes, but I don't have any specific expectations.
Right.
On what's going to happen or where it's going to go. But I'm also not as invested in the franchise as you are.
I'm extremely invested in the franchise. I'm trying to find the reviews for John Wick 4 because they have been really good. John Wick 4 doesn't have an audience score yet because it's not out, but it has a 92 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Dang.
Which if I'm not mistaken, I hate it when websites ask me to remove my ad blocker. That's just a red flag.
So, kind of a massive L if you ask me.
To Rotten Tomatoes. So, John Wick 1 has an 86 on Rotten Tomatoes. I hate that I have to do these one at a time. I'm so sorry.
I'll get John Wick 3 for you. I'll help you out here.
Okay, so John Wick 1 has an 86 on Rotten Tomatoes with an 81 as the audience score. John Wick 2 has an 89 on Rotten Tomatoes with an 85 as the audience score. And then
John Wick 3 has 89 critic score and 86 audience score.
Nice. And then
So,
Chapter 4 has a 92 on Rotten Tomatoes.
how many critic reviews though?
76.
Oh, that's not bad.
It's not bad. Usually when I look
For
at
having 76.
like high-rated movies, they have like 4 reviews. I'm like, all right, come on. So, I don't know. I'm really interested. It's gonna be like 3 hours long too. So it's gonna be the longest of the John Wick movies.
Okay, actually, that doesn't surprise me.
No,
sorry,
me
I got distracted. I looked up, just for funsies, while I'm on Rotten Tomatoes, I looked up the new Demon Slayer movie just to see, like, oh, what's the score? It's got an 80% critics with 5 reviews and a 67 with 1,000+ verified ratings.
People not like it?
I don't think it's that people didn't like it. I think it's people didn't know what to expect going
That
into
makes
it. Like,
sense.
for reference, the Mugen Train movie that was actually a movie and not just episodes piecemealed together so you could see the super cool like fight on the big screen, with 48 reviews is 98% from critics. And audience score with 10,000+ verified ratings, 99%.
Because it's amazing. It's a great movie.
Because I'm going to be honest, I feel the same way. It's a 10 out of 10, 5-star movie from me. But also, not to get off John Wick for too long, but I read a tweet today on as to why Demon Slayer wasn't edited, because apparently in order to theatrically release a movie, it has to be over 100 minutes.
Yes.
And that's why it went unedited, because unedited, it is, I don't think they're displaying it's 115 minutes.
Oh, so they had to keep credits
Unedited.
and stuff in there to
And I
let
think
it
if
play.
they cut credits out, it would have gotten it like 101.
Yeah, but play
it would have
all
gotten
of-
it way too
Play
close.
all of the credits at the end.
Yeah, like just slide
That's
them
dumb.
over. Make the actual credits longer.
But yeah. So John Wick, TBH, some of my favorites. I really wanted to do this episode just to put that out there that John Wick, the first, at least the 3, the 4th one looks promising, are amazing movies and everyone should watch them if mom says it's okay.
Yeah, if your mom says it's okay, you can watch John Wick. You have to ask your mom first, though.
Yes.
Or dad.
Yes.
You have to ask your parents first.
Yes. Go to
to watch John Wick.
Go to the Common
Don't-
Sense Media before you.
Yeah, don't watch John Wick without your parents. Or
Yes.
if you're an adult or like 16 or 17, then I guess do whatever you
Just,
want.
You're probably rebellious.
I would
anyway,
say, I would say still ask your parents though, because nothing can ever go wrong.
What are they gonna say? No. Maybe.
What are they
I
gonna
don't know.
say?
Depends.
No.
Your parents.
Depends on how strict your
Your
parents.
parents want the best for you, okay? Anyway, do you have anything else to say about John Wick before I put a bow on
about
this?
John
baby?
Wick. No, not John Wick. But I do have one more thing I want to talk about before we end the episode.
Okay.
So I can either do that now, or if you have anything else
I'm good.
you want to. Okay. I do want to take a second to thank the audience here for making The Downfall of Disney, episode 87, our previous episode to this one, the fastest listened to episode, I'm pretty sure, in the history of the podcast.
Yeah.
Because we hit 100 plays in the first 5 days, which, for reference, on average, it usually takes about a full week and a half to get to 100. And right now it's sitting at 176. Numbers usually like dip a little bit on the weekend. But I do want to thank you guys for making that the quickest listened to episode, and like the retention time is really good too. And I just wanted to thank you guys because I was kind of worried about this episode a little bit. Like, not that I was like afraid to put it out, but I was worried, especially with the way our conversation went towards the end, getting into more of like the political like sphere, which we don't do
ever
on normal episodes. That was kind of like a one-off thing. But I was really worried about that episode tanking for that reason, and the fact that it's done way better than I expected, because it got like 100 views on YouTube too. Just totally blew me away. So thank you guys for being awesome.
Thank you very much.
And being awesome listeners. So also just a quick heads up for everyone. The ad changed, like the Anchor, or not Anchor anymore, Spotify for podcasters.
Spotify for podcasters ad.
Because they changed it up, which I'm kind of frustrated about it. Hopefully they don't listen to this part of the episode, but I'm kind of frustrated about it because the ad went from 45 seconds to a minute and 5 seconds, and they took away $2 of
per ad
CPM.
Yeah.
So it's like, you want me to talk more,
with
but
less
also
money.
with less money. So
yeah, no, that's dumb.
Yeah, it's dumb, and it's a rebrand of Anchor when Anchor was completely fine. It's so much like Anchor rolls off the tongue better than Spotify for podcasters. Like, and you can hear that if you listen to the ad. It was very hard for me to say Spotify for podcasters instead of just saying Anchor.fm. Like, so
I think that was it was just a PR move, truly. And I don't think it was a good decision, but also I'm not going to bite the hand that feeds me. So
that's true.
We love have Spotify for podcasters.
We have the ad money sitting in our thing. Yay. So like, that's cool.
So
thanks,
we adapt,
Spotify.
We adapt, we overcome. I'll also say, as a small musician, I've made way more money off Apple Music than any other streaming service. So
dang,
what do you want
great.
from me? What do you want from me? Just to
I'm going to scan candidly. Apple real quick and see if we have any reviews, because I realize I have not checked for reviews in like months.
Yes, if you leave a review on the show, leave 5 stars because we deserve it. And if you leave a review on Apple Podcast, then we will read your review on the show. So we're going to check for reviews real quick, and then we're going to wrap up.
I'm going to check. Oh no, we're down 6%.
Oh no.
Listenership.
6% in what?
We have 136 followers though, so that's pretty cool.
Yo, don't review all the stats.
Our top countries on Apple Podcasts is Japan. That's pretty crazy.
Any reviews?
Hold on, I'm trying to find it. They make it very hard to find. Why can't Apple?
Why can't podcasting
make this
be
easier?
Why can't podcasting ever be easy? Someone explain this to me.
No, there are no reviews, but we do have a 4.9 out of 5.
Let's go. Thank you for
somebody
all your
rated
reviews.
us a 4 out of 4. Who did it? I need to know.
Hey, I respect that. Thank you for your good reviews. If you want to leave a written review, do that and we'll read it on the show. But other than that, I'm ready to tie a bow on this girl. I don't know what girl. Why did I say ugh? What the heck?
What was that?
That was so gross. I'm so sorry. Who says that? Tie a bow on this huh? You know when you're just talking and you're like, wait a minute, what did I just say?
What was that?
I don't know what that means, but sorry. I'm gonna let you outro. I can't. I can't recover from that one. You want to take it?
Well, if you enjoy what we're doing here at the show, you can follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts at the Nerdiest Podcast. While I'm talking, I'm trying to pull up the episode schedule so I can give you a hint of what's to come. Because also, if I say it, then we have to do it.
It's called accountability.
Yep. We're holding ourselves accountable. next month's going to be fun.
Woohoo!
We're going weekly for the month of April.
Yay.
So after the next episode, we'll be weekly for a little bit, and that's fun because we got some great topics to talk about in April. One of which involves Jackson getting caught up on The Mandalorian.
Yay. We'll get
so we
there.
can podcast about that.
We'll get there.
Yeah, the next episode I have on the list is we watched the Super Mario Bros. Movie from 1993 in preparation for the new Mario movie. So,
We'll see
and then
how
after
that,
after that, we're gonna be reviewing the new Mario movie
with
our friends Genre Geeks.
No way.
So that's gonna be pretty exciting.
I'm so glad that they're making content again. I
know,
them
me
so
too.
Much.
And that's all the teases you guys get about the schedule because anything farther out is subject to change.
Yay.
Even though every episode is subject to change until we press
record it.
So, but yeah, you can follow us on Instagram at the Nerdiest Podcast. You can follow us on YouTube at the Nerdiest Podcast. There's a lot of good content going out over there, and all of our episodes are over there too. So if you want to, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts and you want to see our beautiful faces, you can go on YouTube if you don't have Spotify. So, and yeah, I think that's about everything.
Yeah.
So we'll
Thank
see
you
you
for
guys
listening.
here, same time, same place, 2 weeks from now. We'll see you next time. Peace out.
Bye.